Welcome to the Gusman Windus PM Pod, where we talk about all things PM.
We talk about slurping coffee.
Slurping coffee. We're chewing the coffee, guessing the year of the bean.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a really good
it's an
Purchase
aged
basement band.
It's an aged bean.
Year of the small bean.
What? I hate that already.
Yeah. Well, we have a special guest. I don't know if you noticed in the corner being illuminated by the fucking light. But you want to introduce yourself?
No.
Okay.
Why not, dude?
So this is Frank. And the thing about Frank that you need to know is that he's Italian. And when Italians come into my house, I'm very nice to them because I'm also Italian.
You just made me take my shoes off.
Yeah.
I didn't listen.
Okay. Well, we're both from Sicily.
True.
We're not from Sicily. I'm not from Sicily. My grandpa's from Sicily.
Right.
And that's why I know you can appreciate a good cup.
And I grew up with your grandpa.
Uh-huh.
So that's how we know each other.
And I could vouch for the fact that Jerry is really nice to Italians because I walked into his house like, hey, you want to do a podcast? And he just set this all up for us.
He gave us coffee.
Yeah, he gave us coffee.
Gave
He's
us
like,
background.
I allot
Let's
an
do a
hour of my
podcast.
week to talk about cocks and dicks and
a
all
penis
things
of music.
and all things phallic.
Phallic.
Um,
Speaking of which, I'm going to get it out of the way. I'm introducing a new segment on the podcast, and that is Penis of the Week. Now, I haven't really told anybody on this over here about what that is, but it's basically exactly what it sounds like, and that Penis of the Week is a guy named First Jason. Now, First Jason is a band. Well, it's the guy who played Jason Voorhees in the movie, and now he has a band where he plays guitar, and it's just like really super fast penisy, like, and he's just like, and he sings about being Jason and killing people. If you want to hear some real prime penis in 2022, I suggest going to check that out. So anyway, Frank,
Hey, John.
how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going well.
Cool.
Yeah, I actually recently heard about that. My brother had mentioned that he has a band, and I hadn't checked it out, but it sounds very penisy.
Yeah, he looks just like me, like same hairline, like
Does
same.
he?
I think he's got like a curly mustache, but yeah, he's
5'8".
I've appreciated you think I'm 5'8", but
Wasn't it me, you,
I think
Tim, and Richie saying we're gonna start a band called 5'8", 200 pounds?
yeah. I am just around 200 pounds, so
Yeah, I definitely linger around there.
I'm in the average height ambiguity
Yeah.
bracket, you know.
Right.
Where'd Jerry go?
Yeah, here he is.
He's putting on the sweatshirt from our sponsor, Days of Future, Days Media Group.
We won't lose him. So
Yeah, Lumpy would get it. We gotta get him on the podcast too.
yeah.
But in the meantime, we have Frank. So
sorry.
Okay. So Frank, what do you think you have to offer to this podcast?
Well, do you guys allow nudity, or is it
Yeah,
okay?
we
can get to that.
I do. I don't know about
We can
anyone
get to
else,
that. I gotta remember to
Listen,
go
I got
close.
nothing to
Well,
lose.
here I'll adjust it so that you don't have to. You
Thank
can be
You're
comfortable.
too good to Italians.
You can be comfortable.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You should change the podcast and call it "Too Good to
The-
Italians" and just have Italian guests.
Parmesan
Here, move back.
podcast.
Move back.
Oh, this is nice.
Look at that. This is what happens.
This is why you guys work
This
in
is
the
what happens
industry.
after the pod.
Is this what you do for Terror
Yeah.
when they're doing their unplugged set?
Yeah.
Are you gonna bleep that?
No, I don't even know if we're keeping any of this.
No, it's
Welcome
all,
to
it's
the
all gold.
pod. Today we have Frank, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Frank.
And Frank sings. He's a singer. He's a singer-songwriter extraordinaire, and he likes a variety of penile bands that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Frank plays in a band called Somerset Thrower, which is a great Long Island
The
band.
fuck does that name even fucking mean? Can you explain
Is
that
that a
for a
Beatles?
second?
Well, it's just the right. There you go, John.
It's a
This
Beatles
is the right
reference, right?
episode.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey,
Talk
you
about
said
it.
you did your research for this, didn't you?
I did. I was baiting you. I was masturbating.
In 2022,
masturbate.
you're gaslighting me.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? Seriously.
Yeah.
You kill this podcast before it even starts, you know, before we even get off the ground. So anyway,
Matt Reineker's in the room too.
Yeah.
He is.
Just
What's
for
up, Matt?
context.
He's our Matt. He's our Matt. He's our
In
moderator.
case the ground starts shaking, you know why.
It's leg day over there.
Yeah, you might think you have an army. We have a Matt. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying, dude? But anyway, so Somerset Thrower is a Beatles reference. Now, I think the only reason I know that is because I've read interviews with you saying that. So,
Oh, really?
And it just kind of clicked in my head. I was kind of shooting off the hip also when I said that. So, yeah, what is that reference?
Yeah, we used to not like want to tell people what it was from and just be like, because people are like, what does that mean? You know, and we're like, we just say like stupid shit. But it's just from like Tim and I were watching the Beatles anthology. And we were just like probably high and just paused it. We were like, oh, it's we paused it on a certain, you know, it was a poster that John Lennon took the lyrics for Mr. Kite, that song, Benefit of Mr. Kite. And then that was like where he took all the lyrics for that song from this like circus poster.
Okay,
so we paused it. We're like, oh, maybe we can get a band name as when we were starting the band, and maybe we can get it from this poster. And it says the celebrated Somerset Thrower somewhere on it. So we were like, all right, maybe we'll do that. We weren't really sold on it, and we just stuck with it.
Yeah.
So,
Usually the first band name you think of that you're kind of like, is that's usually the one that ends up naming the band. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. Kite, that's like a very that's probably the most penile
very-
song
yeah.
on Sgt. Pepper's.
it is. I don't even really. I love the Beatles, but like, there's definitely some songs I could live without, and that's
anytime usually there's like a Mister as like the name of the song, that's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah,
bound to be like a
exactly.
penis-y ass song.
yeah.
I've been listening it was actually funny for like a few days, like a couple weeks ago. I just listened to Maxwell Silver Hammer for
Yeah.
like every day. I don't know why.
My mom hates that song.
Really?
When as a kid we would play it, and she would. I fucking hate this song. And it's like,
I mean, it is about a dude murdering people,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
like it.
kind of in very Paul McCartney fashion.
yes, very Paul song.
He makes it stylish,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like I was really into the Beatles when I was a teenager, like getting into records, you know, because I could find
absolutely.
Beatles records anywhere.
Yeah.
And if I had heard about like a Beatles record and I wanted to listen to it, I could usually just go to any fucking Barnes and Noble and buy a Beatles album,
Yeah,
or any
absolutely.
record store and buy like I have an old copy of White Album that I used to spin like all the time. And I loved Sgt. Pepper's because at that time I was really into like prog and like weirdo shit, like the kind of music that we talk about a lot on this podcast. And that's what attracted me to that record so much. But in like in my life now, the Beatles records I listen to the most frequently are Rubber Soul and Revolver.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like Revolver just had a fucking reissue. Like people are talking about that
Really
album
great.
a lot now.
Have you listened to that?
I haven't listened to the reissue
It's
yet.
a lot of cool demos and like
Really?
extra takes, and it's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at
Yeah.
Fest and we were just listening to that the whole time,
Yeah.
and it was it's
That's
really
cool,
good. I would check it out. Yeah.
I've even seen that on like billboards. Like it's like
I know.
literally everywhere.
It's everywhere.
All over
Yeah.
Spotify, all over my Instagram.
And Revolver, I feel like doesn't get the love. That's always been my favorite Beatles record because
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was like the first one that I owned on like CD when I was a little kid, and I would like listen to it in my dad's car. And you know that was I feel like it didn't get as much love as it should have, in my opinion. But now I feel like it's kind of people accept it as like that perfect middle period of the Beatles. You know.
Yeah.
But
No, it's good shit. Like probably my favorite Beatles song ever is fucking oh my god, and now I'm gonna forget what it's called, but the
The Guzman Windows PM Pod. The Guzman Windows PM Pod. The Guzman Windows PM Pod. The Guzman Windows. The Guzman Windows PM Pod.
one. It's like the second or third track on Revolver.
on Revolver, Taxman is the first. And then
Taxman is the
there's,
first. Oh wait, you know what? I'm not even thinking about the right song. I'm thinking about
And there's Love You Too.
no. I'm thinking about it's on Rubber Soul. I actually fucked up. So
If I Needed Someone.
no, not If I Needed Someone.
Is that on? Yeah.
Norwegian Wood.
Oh, that's a Lennon.
Yeah.
But
That's Lennon?
Lennon is Norwegian Wood, but George definitely lent the sitar.
Okay, so now I need to edit all of this out of the podcast because I just made a
sunned.
fucking poser out of my fucking
No,
self.
don't. It's okay.
I didn't know it was
I'm here to
Lennon. That's
teach you.
crazy.
No, it's Lennon. Yeah.
So I usually hate Lennon songs.
Do
I'll
you?
say that.
You're not
yeah.
a Lennon guy.
I'm not a Lennon guy.
That's my guy.
I'm a Ringo guy.
I love Ringo, but what the fuck? You're a Ringo guy, and you got McCartney and Lennon here, and Harrison.
my order
in the corner?
actually goes like Harrison, Ringo,
I love George, but yeah,
Paul, and then Lennon.
really.
Yeah.
So wait, we gotta dive into this a little bit.
So okay,
What do you have against Lennon?
Well, I mean, I just think a lot of the times his songs are just like, I mean, he's probably the best vocalist out of all of them.
Also
I
the
would
biggest-
say that.
No,
Easily the
no,
biggest-
it's McCartney.
Easily the biggest penis in the Beatles too. Like post,
Yeah.
post
Definitely,
Beatles.
Ringo has the biggest penis in the Beatles,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
I could prove with
Got a
online
pretty big
images.
nose, you know that.
But
So-
Lennon definitely has the biggest ego for sure.
yeah.
for sure.
McCartney, I mean, yeah, he is probably the most talented singer, but I like
Yeah.
Lennon's voice out
Okay.
of the most out of all. Like when Lennon
I
like
would agree.
screams.
I would agree.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's exactly.
That's
What's the song? Is it "Oh Well"? Whatever the Lennon like solo song, "Oh Well, Oh Well" or something, or
Oh yeah.
fucking
Well.
screaming his- yeah.
Oh yeah,
just-
that's on his. I think it's Plastic Ono.
Yeah, it's
And
just
that's
fucking screaming
so
his head
good.
off. It's
Yeah.
crazy. I remember as a story of like when me and my friends when we were just coming out of our metal phase in high school and like finding other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my one friend was like, "Yeah, man, like." Breakdowns in the Metallica. That's not heavy to me anymore, man. Like fucking Lennon screaming like that. That's what's heavy to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
now, dude. You know,
I love that
just being, like,
transition.
such a little fucker, like a little pretentious fucker.
Yeah.
When you're getting into music at like,
Yeah.
where you've been into music for a couple of years, so you kind of know how to like talk music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, shut the fuck off.
Yeah.
There's that transition though. It's like, all right, this is like obviously heavy, but then there's like that shit that just hits, and it's just like, oh, that's
Yeah.
fucking like very heavy without even being like typical loud heavy or whatever.
Yeah, you really think that you're just like, fucking. You just tapped some untapped fucking
Yeah.
shit no one's ever.
It's like, no, this is the most popular fucking dude of the last fucking 50 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's even funny that you were saying like, oh, like Revolver doesn't get love. I'm
I
like
know.
literally every person on planet Earth.
It's
like,
so funny when
right.
people say anything Beatles is underrated. They're the biggest band of all
Right,
time.
right. But
ever.
you know what I mean? But I'm like, look, Revolver's so sick because it's just like such a good. First of all, that time period of like '66,
Yeah.
it's just they just look cool.
Yeah.
Like John Lennon was like already kind of like, yeah, we're bigger than Jesus. Fuck the church. Like saying
Yeah.
that shit, even though he went back on it.
Yeah.
And just kind of like putting it out there, like we can do whatever the fuck we want. Like
Yeah.
before Sgt. Pepper, when they're like, oh, they made a concept album and they thought it was like, you know, amazing. But it's
Yeah.
like they were doing shit like this in Revolver already with like
Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song they recorded for Revolver.
Yeah.
And that shit is pretty insane.
Yeah.
For the time, you know.
They're also, I think, as far as penis format goes, they're like, I think they paved the way. Just like with all the
Chicken scratch,
the Eastern Asian sort of stuff, and just all that shit, like
Yeah.
just going around the world and experiencing different stuff, and just like
Yeah.
still being like, oh, like that's penis like 101 as we talk is like, it's like the British rock band that finds other cultures
Yeah.
and just sort of like weirdly appropriates it,
Incorporates it into modern
yeah.
pop.
I can't. What is there a band before that does that?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it was around the same time. I know the Beatles were kind of like made it cool to be in a band. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
Elvis
yeah,
wasn't thinking that far ahead of what music could be. He was just kind of doing what worked for him. And
Yeah.
I think the Beatles came through and they had like a more kind of young kid aspect, not business aspect. They were just like, we're just fucking do this shit and make the craziest, coolest music we can do. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
For the time, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
When I worked that, I don't know if I told you, but I worked like a fucking really shitty pop punk show at the VFW the other night, just like doing sound. And I was just playing like very generic like punk shit in between each band, but I snuck Helter Skelter in there, and it's like, it's crazy how like ahead of their time they were in that regard, like because there were a lot of like pretty like you were saying earlier, like songs that like in retrospect are like heavy in like the
Yeah,
Beatles
yeah.
whatever catalog.
I mean, even like songs like Paperback Writer that were just like fucking, just like kind of fast and just like really driving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, oh, that's also pretty ahead of its time too. It's like I can
Right.
imagine someone back then hearing that and being like, oh yeah, like this is crazy. And then which sort of like, I mean, I think the Who comes just a little bit after, right?
Well, the thing is with the Who, that's why so Helter Skelter started as like a acoustic song. Like pretty much every fucking song ever made starts as like acoustic.
Yeah.
You know. And so he had the idea for the melody, but then like to compete with the Who, that's
Yeah,
why they
yeah.
made it heavy as fuck.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we need to make it heavy. Everyone's saying the Who is the heaviest band.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to go heavier. So Helter Skelter, which is a McCartney song too, and like usually Lennon kind of would maybe do the more like heavy riffs, but they were both into the just
Yeah,
expanding their shit and whatever. But yeah, then Paul, that was the fucking heaviest song probably to date at that time. you
Yeah,
know?
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
Fucking
cool.
love that shit.
Yeah, that song rules.
I mean, that record, like, I've said this before on the pod, it's like White Album isn't one of those records. I feel like that a lot of the time you play front to back. You know?
There's a lot of shit on there.
There's a lot of shit.
There's
yeah.
just a lot of bullshit on there, but there's some really good shit too.
But the stuff that's good, I feel like, was the most boundary pushing. You
yeah.
know?
Oh, definitely. And that was when they were kind of like writing on their own more so than together.
Yeah.
So they were kind of like, you're getting a little bit very acoustic stuff. Then they would work on some stuff together.
Yeah.
Like Paul was playing drums on some shit on that, and
Yeah.
Ringo quit around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do I have this right? That Revolution Number 9 basically like invented the flanger, like effect, or where it's like John Lennon like
Right.
accidentally put his hand on the tape and it just made this crazy fun.
Yeah.
Is it with no? I know that I think I might be mixing the two.
Yeah. There's a
but
lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
but-
It's sort of like the Beatles are just like jam packed with so much like cool lore, and it's not even just like, oh, they just had it. It's not only that they just had like a shitload of money; they can kind of just do whatever they wanted. But I
Right.
feel like everything they did was, like you said, so ahead of its time. And one thing that pisses me off is that like Beatles hate for the sake of like
Oh
hating
yeah.
the Beatles.
I mean, my whole life I've been trying to like tell like hardcore kids like, yo, do you ever listen to the Beatles,
Yeah,
bro?
yeah.
And like, no. Well, like, a lot of my friends do, but like a lot of people that we'd come in contact with, and I'm like such like an openly like Beatles fan. Like all my friends make fun of me because I'm just like all my best friends are really big Beatles fans too.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, Frank likes the Beatles. Like,
Yeah.
But I love the Beatles.
Well, I
They're
think like Beatles too are really like, if for most people that are doing that, like they're probably just like starving for obscurity points.
And that's what I
So
love. I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, no,
You want
I
to learn
like-
how to write a good song or no?
Yeah,
Like-
well, and that's the thing is like I feel like there's so many bands that people just openly hate on because of the fact that they're just like big and they don't
Yeah.
like respect like
Right.
that they're still like, if anything their music probably just gets better because that's all they have to do. Like Red Hot
Right.
Chili Peppers is another example. I feel like we could probably talk about that like
Yeah,
forever.
absolutely. I fucking-
Is that like, I mean, even, have you listened to any of the newer records at all?
Yeah,
Like,
we put on the new record like when it first came out, and we were like, "This is
Well,
ridiculous," but it's
I think that, well, Unlimited Love was fucking awesome because that's like, damn, it's the first Frusciante album since
right.
Stadium
I
Arcadium.
love Frusciante. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like the only. Well, he's like the best part of the Chili Peppers. in my
Definitely best
opinion.
part. Also, humongous penis guy.
Very
Like,
penisy.
yeah. Which I know eventually we're gonna do
But, like,
a
is he-
Frusciante deep dive.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is he more penisy than Anthony Kiedis though?
Different types of penis.
Yeah,
Different
because
types
Anthony
of penis.
Kiedis is like the big fucking fat cock.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
stage,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anthony-
And Frusciante's a behind the scenes guy. I think.
I was about to say I almost called him Anthony Penis. Like Anthony Kiedis is like is like Jester Penis, where Frusciante is like music nerd, musical,
Yes.
artistic integrity penis.
Right.
Where Kiedis is just like, I don't know what I'm doing, but
Yeah,
it's cool
right.
in
Yeah,
California and the butterfly, you know, like, whatever. Whereas like Frusciante like can't even drive a car. All he knows how to do is make music.
Yeah,
That's literally
exactly.
it. But no, I
he rides
feel
a
like,
horse to every show. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. Well, yeah. No, but like, it's like, I feel like it really helped me like enjoy music more when I stopped like thinking that way of just being like, oh, just because something is big and like way overfunded or just like very highly funded that it's like just not good music. Like I'll even go to bat for like all of Metallica's like later albums
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're like still fucking sick. You know, maybe Lars is the one thing that is like lacking, but also
Yeah.
I won't say that one of the best parts, but that was what makes it Metallica.
Yeah.
You know?
They lost the way a little bit, but I think
Yeah,
that
yeah,
there's always
yeah.
kind of some little, interesting thing. Like, oh, that's Metallica.
Yeah. Well, they even say too, like live, like they're not like a perfect band because, you know, that's just not what like heavy metal is. It's not like being like perfect or whatever.
Right.
You know, I mean, Lars definitely pushes it. Really pushes the envelope as far as just like, okay, that kind of sucks. Like, it just sounds like shit, and like you're fucking everybody else up. But it's still cool, you know. It's still pretty dope, you know.
I've said this before. Like, I mean, I might just be nostalgic for this era also, but like when I was in like literally elementary school, I listened to Saint Anger all the time.
Oh, yeah.
To the point where like I have like a positive association with that snare drum sound, even though it's like I would never want to hear it in any other band's record, you know. But I feel like it wouldn't be the same record without that really fucking shitty production. Like, you know,
I remember when that came out, Saint Anger. I
Me
think I was
too.
in high school.
Yeah.
And me and my friends kind of hated on it because, you know, we were like, liked Metallica, and we were like, this isn't fucking Metallica. This is stupid. And then they got the new bass player from Suicidal Tendencies.
Rob Trujillo.
Yeah, right.
What was I say? I remember, it was I think I was in 5th grade. It was summer going into 6th grade that Saint Anger was on like the music video where they're like in the fucking prison and they're playing. I remember like that association with like the braids, like Rob Gio's braids and stuff. I'm like, whoa, this band's crazy, you know. And like you don't know any better when you're like a kid that like, oh yeah, this is I feel like everything around Saint Anger like just like made this whole really just like tense experience that like. I don't know. It's like everything about that like album is like uncomfortable, and I think that was sort of the point, you know, where
It's very frantic.
yeah. But yeah, I remember that, and I remember that's just thinking like, oh, it's just new Metallica. I don't think about the snare sound. It wasn't until like I started analyzing music and kind of digging back into like. I guess the general opinions around that, because that was also around like all the Napster bullshit too. So like, I feel like Metallica definitely had sort of a target on their head a bit. And
they had a bit of a shitty industry air to them at that point because of the Napster shit. And just like, all right, Lars is obviously
just a shitty businessman. And then they put out fucking Some Kind of Monster, which also just
I love that.
Yeah, it just really painted a picture of them just being these like rock star prima donnas. It's funny. I remember. I was watching Saint Anger with my dad one time. My dad came home from work, and did I say Some Kind of Monster or Saint Anger? I don't remember.
said watching Saint Anger. I know what you meant.
Yeah, I was watching Some Kind of Monster.
We know what you meant.
Yeah.
And it was one of the scenes where like they're in therapy and like James Hetfield's like tearing up, and my dad's like, "What the fuck is this fucking bullshit? Yeah, hail fucking Satan! You're fucking sitting here crying." You know, and my dad's just like a working class like stone setter.
Yeah,
to hear James Hetfield cry about being a rock star.
And his therapist like, well, what does this song mean? Like, what is it? It's like, why are you're asking James Hetfield like, what the fuck? It's just like, this is not going to be good.
Yeah, and there's the one scene with Lars and his dad where he's like, yeah, you know, he just doesn't fucking approve of like anything I fucking do, and then like they're listening to it, and the dad's just like, if I had one word of advice, I would say, delete that. It's so funny.
His dad just kind of looks like a billy goat, right?
Yeah, or like the Grand Kai from Dragon Ball Z.
Yo, right.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I definitely at this stage of my life, I feel like there comes like an element of maturity of just like not just because no one knows about it doesn't mean it's not just like better.
Yeah.
You know, like I was listening to even like when Iron Maiden put out like a record last year. Was it Senjutsu or whatever?
Mm-hmm. I didn't listen to it.
It's kind of fucking sick,
yeah,
honestly.
I should check that out.
You know,
I did listen to the most recent. I forget how recent this is, but like Judas Priest dropped a record like a few years ago.
Fire
something like that. But it was good. It was pretty
fucking
cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
honestly, like they still
if
got
Judas
it.
Priest in their like 60s can write a better riff than like, you know, these like hardcore bands and like
they're cashing in on fucking thrash metal and whatever.
Well, I can't wait for all the current metal bands to start trying to sound like Turnstile or some shit.
Yeah, right.
That's another thing. Like people hate like on Twitter or some dumbass who doesn't even know what's going on.
Yeah,
can hate on Turnstile, but it's like Turnstile's been fucking doing this for so long.
Yeah,
and now they're the biggest band in hardcore probably ever.
Yeah,
but they've worked their fucking asses off playing for 10 years before this point.
Yeah,
and that's like the same thing. Like, you know, with like the Beatles. The Beatles were a fucking club band.
Turnstile are the Beatles.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. No,
the Beatles were playing
I'm just saying,
fucking VFWs.
Any popular act, you know, it gets popular because it's. I mean, I'm not saying like, if you're popular, it doesn't mean you're good. But,
yeah.
Turnstile's been working their asses off for a long time. Now they're just getting to this crazy point.
Yeah.
And it's like similar. The Beatles were playing in little clubs, and no one fucking knew who they were. And then they happened to have a hit, and their first hit wasn't even. It was "Love Me Do," and it didn't hit at all in the UK. It wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
And then they put out like "She Loves You" or whatever, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, and that's what kicked them off in America. So
Yeah.
they were doing that shit for a long time before they even got that credit. You know what I mean?
We're tired of these keyboard warriors saying that we can't.
What's this Twitter?
I said this a couple episodes ago about Pink Floyd. Like, they were a pop band in the UK. Like, they were literally just trying to write like bubblegum radio songs.
See Emily play? I fucking love that shit. It's just Beatles worship. It's like, again, the Beatles, people saw that shit. Like, they didn't see Elvis, and they're like, his band was like a mile behind him or whatever in the, and he's in the foreground. But like with the Beatles, it's like there's four dudes who are like, they seem equal. They seem like they're friends. They're hanging out, and they're like funny dudes. Like, that's another thing about them. They're fucking funny as hell.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're like
they
a
are.
comedy act. They're
Yeah.
so fucking funny.
Yeah.
To me, at least. But like, and so it just made it cool. Like, oh, these dudes are friends. They're in it equally. They're a band, and like that's what made it cool. That's what Pink Floyd probably saw them and was like, fuck yeah, we're gonna start a band.
Yeah,
Just
except
like-
Pink Floyd were just a bunch of fucking crazy weirdos on acid all the time and just
Well-
didn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, but after, when did Pink? I'm curious to see how that lines up. Like how early on were the Beatles before Pink Floyd? Probably not that.
They were around. I mean, like Pink Floyd started in like the early to mid '60s, something like that, like '65,
Yeah.
I want to say.
Because I've read a lot of Beatles
Matt,
shit.
fact check, producer, go.
What's
When
the
did
guy-
Pink Floyd
yeah.
form?
There you
Because
go.
that was like Sid, Roger, Nick, and
Yes.
and Rick, right? Rick.
Every band needs a Rick.
1964. I think
That's
it's
my
Rick.
opinion.
Also, look up who the keyboardist of Pink Floyd was. I want to say
dude,
Rick, but I think I'm thinking of Rick Wakeman.
Yeah.
Oh,
Every keyboard player's named Rick, dude.
but yeah, dude, the Beatles used to take pills. They were taking pills. That was like their first drug, like alcohol and pills,
Yeah.
and that's how their fucking manager died. But
Really?
and in Brian Epstein, yeah. But
Cough syrup. We're drinking cough syrup.
We're drinking scissor.
In a
drinking lean.
Have a
phone
Zanny
cup.
bar.
Yeah.
it's like we're drinking lean, you know.
Richard Wright. That's what.
Richard Wright.
David Gilmour. Come on now. That's you gotta know who David.
But yeah,
Gilmour
the
is.
Beatles were fucking with pills back when they were like teenagers.
Yeah, that's
you know.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's because it kept them going. Like before Coke, I guess they were doing pills to like get them because they would play like 2-3 hour shows back to back at like
Yeah.
the Cavern Club and
Yeah.
whatever, and like they
It's
were.
it's so crazy to think about just like the way things were back then. It's just like even like those pills were probably like nothing compared to like what's around now. Like
Yeah.
even like fucking Elvis just like
Oh,
had being like the face of sex appeal just for moving his legs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild.
You know?
They're like blasphemer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now there's just people just pissing all over each other and fucking you know whatever.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, yeah, whatever. You just go on your phone and just watch people die on Twitter.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
no one cares.
Cite our GG Allen deep dive from the last episode. Go watch that if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of that like pop scene in the UK ended up like, I mean, like I don't know about any of like the lesser known acts from that time, but that was like the scene. You know, everyone had those like weird like psychedelic hippie like
Oh, yeah.
pop bands, and then like
That was in the air in the '60s at that point, like the mid '60s.
Yeah.
Just wanted to kind of branch out and see what else they could do. Are you guys fans of the Kinks?
Not really.
Not really. Like
Really?
I know obviously the songs, but like
you love Guided by Voices. You like Guided by Voices too?
kind
Jerry?
of.
Yeah,
he got me
I
into
know.
that.
I'm-
I know.
I'm the
John and I
GBV
talk about
head
them all the
here,
time. But,
Yeah.
Because Kinks, like, it's a very like similar to the Beatles. Like, you can find some Beatles shit in Robert Pollard's writing.
yeah.
Obviously.
Well, he says he learned to sing from the Beatles, and that's why he
Yes.
has that sort of British thing going
Yeah.
on. He's just
Yeah.
trying to rip off fucking John Lennon.
Yeah.
You know.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right. But it's crazy too, because yeah, like even back then, like where GBV is sort of like I feel like it's grounds for. I will say back then, because now I feel like GBV also falls into that category. Like if you're down with like obscure garage DIY stuff, like GBV is almost like the Beatles of that.
Dude,
you know.
they are very close to me. Like, I compare their music, like, because like GBV, when I first heard them, my friend Keith showed them to me, and you know Tim was into them, and we like listened to like B1000 Alien Lanes, and we kind of just stopped there early on when I first heard about them, and that shit is just, those two albums are amazing, and I think that's the perfect starting point for anyone to get into them. But it's like those are such good hits, and it just sounds like Beatles demos. Like
Yeah,
I'm a big
literally.
person who listens to like Beatles, like John Lennon demos, whatever, and it sounds like that. It's like the caliber of like the songwriting is very good, and I love to hear. Like I always am partial to the demos. Like on that Revolver box set that we just talked about or whatever. The they have the demo of what the fuck is it? Yellow Submarine. And
Okay,
it's
yeah,
better
yeah.
than the original because it
Yeah,
just sounds
yeah.
cooler and more interesting and like a little darker, and it's not exactly what it became.
Yeah.
But I always just thought that Guided by Voices were very similar to the Beatles in that sense, like just from a demo perspective. Like it's a beautiful song, but it sounds like shit on
Yeah.
the demo, just on acoustic maybe. But it's like there's a great song in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's even like songs like Club Molluska by fucking
Oh yeah, I love that song.
like where it's all just 8-track shit and like out of key, out of tune, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the song itself is like it's like a perfect lo-fi track, if you ask me. Where it kind of reminds me of driving around like a city in the winter, like at night. Like I feel like
Yeah.
if you're trying to really capture like lo-fi, like pop, like that's the vibe.
It's a vibe, yeah,
Like
for sure.
I learned about GBV from just like playing shows in Philly, and a lot of those people were into it for like a week because like they realized too that like when something goes to like Matador Records, it's kind of like cheesy or whatever, like
well,
whatever.
it's
So
big,
they're like,
yeah.
oh, I kind of like GBV, but I like my friends' bands better. But no, like I like sort of I went home like from those shows, and I remember just like listening to them. I'm like, no, like there's really something like to this, because it's also like it was so much for them. Like as in like so much for like the band, and because I think they were just a garage band or like a basement band for like 10 years before anyone even heard it.
Yeah,
and
and
it's
he
crazy.
was in like 30s. He was in his 30s when like B1000 like broke out. They were gonna break up after Propeller. That was gonna be their last record.
Yeah, yeah,
And then he was like, "Fuck it, I'll just do B1000, whatever." And then that got big.
yeah. Well, it's crazy too, because I was actually just listening to an interview yesterday. It's like I guess lost tapes, like a lost Rob Pollard interview.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that
It's
too. He
fucking
never does
awesome.
interviews.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
upset because he's the only, like one of the only people I really want to fucking hear talk about it.
No, literally.
There's not a lot.
Yeah, like and at that point he was 38, and Tiger Bomb was about to come out,
Right.
the EP, and he was talking about, because I guess at that point, what was it? Alien Lanes was put out through Matador.
Under the Bushes, Under the Stars, I think was the last one on there. I'm not sure.
I think so, but so they only had like 2 records out like through like a label. I'm pretty sure that's like sort of how he framed it, and he was saying like, yeah, like at that point I think he was like 38 years old.
Yeah.
And he was like, they're just starting to like live off of that. But I mean, the entire time he was talking about just how basically he just wanted to rip off the Beatles and like Lennon worship, and even just like I don't know, like just what did they, how did they put it? They basically said that he gave hope to like every garage band or
Right.
like a garage person. Because of the fact that he was so fucking old at that point in music
Oh
terms.
yeah, dude, it's very inspiring to see. Like, not even that he was old then, but like even now, he's still fucking doing it.
He's still doing it. They're
doing
putting like
kicks on stage, drinking a huge. Were you guys working at Paramount when they played there with the original lineup? Like,
No, I wanted to
this
go
was
so
a while
bad.
ago. It was like 7 years ago. Or
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But, that was insane. And like my buddy Dumps was like working. He was like doing the bar or whatever, and he's like, yeah, they ordered like, endless amounts of fucking like natural light, like
Yeah,
fucking, 24 packs, and then like they had like 5 bottles of tequila, and everything was finished. Like,
Yeah, they're just like scumbags from Ohio.
yeah,
it's
dude,
like
they're
it's
just
fucking
dudes.
awesome. Yeah,
they're just dudes from Ohio. They're not like significantly like artsy or punk, but even you listen to it, you're like, oh, these are the most pretentious dudes ever. They're not. They're
Yeah.
just like they love the Who. They
Yeah,
love like
yeah.
classic rock. And it's just done like the way they recorded it. Tobin Sprout would record on his like 4-track or whatever in the basement, and like it was fucking awesome. There's such a quality to it, what I mean?
I think they had Weezer beef. They had beef with Weezer.
Probably they opened for Weezer.
Yeah.
and they did the record with Rick Ocasek that we were talking about before. Do the
Do-
collapse.
yeah, Do the
because
Collapse.
He did the Weezer shit.
Yeah,
They,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wanted to sound big like Weezer, so that's when they wanted to like start going.
Yeah, I think it was that
production-wise.
Rivers Cuomo like cited them in an interview, and was like, yeah, like we like quality over quantity sort of thing. Like I guess they kind of put respect on Guided by Voices, but like yeah, like that's cool that you release like everything that's ever happened.
Yeah, right.
But we think that we'd rather release like good songs. So it was like a weird like backhanded thing.
Yeah,
And
right,
Rob
right.
Pollard gets on stage and he's just like, yeah, fucking my worst fucking song is better than the best fucking Weezer song. And I'm like, damn, this guy's so fucking cool.
I love
you know?
him so much. He just does not give a fuck.
Yeah,
and he's
it's
so
fucking
old
awesome.
and crazy, and he's just awesome.
I think he does just like visual art too now. Like I think he just does like
Yeah,
collages
dude.
and shit.
Oh, and he does all the album covers and stuff.
Yeah.
I have like Ashley got me a book of all his like a lot of his like collages and shit.
Oh, that's
really,
awesome.
It's really sick. Yeah.
It's funny in that interview too. He said like, "Yeah, I'm finally making a living off of like all the shit my parents told me to stop doing because
Yeah.
I thought they said it was stupid."
Yeah.
So it's like, and he was like I said, 38 at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so it's pretty funny. But he was influenced by the Beatles.
Hey, man.
We're gonna round it
And we're
off.
coming back around.
Did you notice?
fuck is Twitter?
Yeah.
Did you notice when you did the Ween deep dive, like I feel like a lot of the God Ween Satan era stuff was like also in the lane of that, a lot of that early like GBV stuff, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, I'm pretty sure they toured together.
It's
Like
it's-
90% sure
yeah.
they
He
toured
may
together.
have. Yeah. That would
It's
probably
it's
make
very
sense at the
possible.
time.
Like I feel like all that Sub Pop Matador stuff like eventually cross paths. Like eventually,
Yeah.
like GBV is doing shows with Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
Which
I'm
I'm
going to that. You
I'm
guys
so
going?
fucking bummed. I'm gonna be in Florida. They're
You
playing.
pussy.
Yeah, they're playing Terminal 5. I think right.
Yeah, dude.
It's like
Is
two
it
of my
Terminal
favorite
5?
bands.
I know. I'm excited to see
Yeah.
that, and I think that's gonna be a good one to see GBV on because they play a lot of new shit. They play
Yeah.
the hits, but they like, have a long ass show, and I think for this show they'll probably just like they're gonna try to compete with Dino Jr. You know? What
Yeah,
I mean? So
yeah,
they
yeah.
might bring like some other shit out of the woodwork that they wouldn't usually play.
I mean, it's hard to top because Dinosaur Jr. like they fucking.
They can really wail.
The shit that they pull out when they play is like so insane. Like
Yeah.
Dino Jr.'s penis music.
Oh my god,
I thought-
100%.
The Dino Jr. I have like a sour taste in my mouth for Dino Jr. because like all of the kids that I knew growing up that liked Dino Jr. were like
Yeah, they were the,
more nerdy than me.
Yeah,
you know?
they were the band for like that. Like, yeah, I love Dino Jr., but they became that band. Like when I was in college, I feel like everyone had a Dino Jr. shirt, and they
Yeah.
were the best band. I'm like, fuck you.
They're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a skateboard in one hand.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
they're great, man. They're great. They're like, doesn't Henry Rollins say that they're his like favorite band? Which
Dude,
makes
well,
no fucking sense.
Dude, it's
to me.
crazy. And this was like I had such a funny little like moment when I saw them on my birthday a couple years ago. Oh, at this point, it's probably when they did the 30th anniversary shows. I think that was like 2015, something like
Yeah.
that. It was at Bowery, and Henry Rollins
Yeah.
introduced the show.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was just like watching him watch Dinosaur Jr. and
Yeah.
he was just like sitting. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I'm watching Henry Rollins like watch his favorite
Yeah,
band.
yeah, yeah.
Like, this is so
he's
cool.
like playing air guitar.
Yeah,
and
dude, he's
shit.
like sitting there. He's like
He's
doing.
I wish I could do
this,
that.
You know, like on the thing while sitting down. Also, before the show started, he was just facing the wall up in the balcony the entire time until the spotlight came out
Right.
on him, and he was just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, everybody, how's it
Yeah,
going?"
he
you
turns
know?
it on.
Yeah, yeah.
Henry
But
Rollins fucking nerd.
I fucking love Henry Rollins.
Yeah,
to
you gotta
no
love
end.
and hate him, you know, for what he is. I was just gonna say, Jay Mascis has proven that he's penis. He's a penis guy because he plays with fucking how many half stacks behind him. Do you remember that show?
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
A fucking,
He-
he was encased in a
That,
fucking.
that's his rig. It's three full
amazing.
stacks.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
It's fucking insane.
Right. It was like a bunch of right.
And then I mean, even Lou's rig is like 5 amps.
They
just,
could
like,
be
stacked on.
empty, just fucking shells.
No, I
That's
think-
what Kiss
I
did.
mean,
like
yeah,
Kiss, when Kiss first started, they would have like 100 empty cabs just behind them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
just to.
to make it look like
Yeah.
they're blowing the
Well,
shit.
Jay Mascis is a penis guy, as in
I'm
he does
sure they
not
were.
care.
I'm sure they were loaded.
Yeah,
but-
they were. I mean, it was fucking loud in there. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, I got a question for you guys real quick.
what?
Just because you said Kiss. I always thought that Kiss, like I love Kiss. Mm-hmm. And I just always thought it would be cooler to me if they just dressed like the Ramones or something, like just like jeans and a t-shirt. But I know that's
They
like
did that.
blasphemous,
They did the
Yeah.
animal era.
and no one cared.
Well,
right.
but that was like I feel like that was more like disco-y, you know, like
was later, though.
That was later though. I'm getting them.
I don't know.
confused,
I don't
yeah.
know. I'm not sure.
What do you mean?
Like when they
Like
stripped
80s,
down.
80s Kiss
That-
was
that
when
makes
they
strip
like
down.
yeah.
Maybe it was so they did do that.
Yeah.
I never because I love the early.
I
Kiss
feel
shit.
like
love,
even maybe kind of Ramones influenced like that time, you know, like I feel like they kind of saw the punk thing going on. I could be wrong, but like, and you know,
it's interesting because I love their music and it's got so much balls to you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
penis.
weren't you the one who said that like when you were younger, like you saw Kiss and were like, oh, they probably sound fucking crazy, and then like you listen and it's like,
Well, no, I was gonna say my experience with
I-
Kiss was like, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about how lame everything was back then, like how behind we were as far as like graphic stuff goes. Is that like, you know, my mom used to say, you can't listen to Kiss. You know, like my brother would be like, yeah, it stands for Kids in Service to Satan. And I'm like, oh, I guess I can't fucking listen to this. And then I listen to it. It's like, I want to love you in hell. You know, like whatever it is. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like, but I mean, I love Kiss. You know, like I'm not the biggest like
No.
Kiss lore head,
No,
but
no,
like
me neither.
I love the hits. You know,
they were like
They
my
influenced-
first favorite band.
like
Yeah,
Black
there were a lot of
Diamond,
people-
fucking
Yeah.
jam.
Yeah.
like
It's
the
awesome.
first CD, I said this on Kyle Feespot, the first CD I had was Destroyer.
Right.
And I played the shit out of that. I had like,
awesome.
I got like, my parents got me like, definitely weren't meant for this, but like from a thrift store, like a pair of like 9-inch heeled boots, you know, and I would wear them and
Yeah.
play fucking like rock and roll night, whatever.
That
like,
explains so much.
what the
about
fuck does that? What the fuck?
you. It's all the good things. That's. I mean, but think about it, like Kiss is influencing you. They also influence fucking Pantera and every
Yeah.
fucking metal band.
Yeah.
And they were like all like Dimebag Darrell's like part of the Kiss army. Like they all love that shit. But then
Yeah.
they also like Rivers Cuomo. But back to Weezer. That's his
Yeah.
favorite. Was his favorite band growing up.
Yeah.
And he shreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like Rage Against the Machine. Like Tom Morello like loves them. Like they're a fucking
Yeah.
essential band for like '90s artists maybe and like even before. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Well, it is funny because yeah, it's almost like like Kiss is definitely one of those unsung bands that like I won't say that actually like I kind of because that sort of talks to what we were saying before about
Right.
being one of the biggest bands on earth. But like you're definitely right. Like I feel like when a lot of those bands move towards guitar rock and like more like post punk and stuff like that, I feel like all of them mention Kiss as like an influence. Like I mean, like Replacements cover Black Diamond.
I know.
You know,
Nirvana
and-
covers "Do You Love Me."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
dude.
fucking
Death
great.
Death covers God of Thunder.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
like
They're a
every
hugely
band.
influential
you know?
band.
Yeah.
in
It's so
many
funny
ways.
too because I feel like a lot of the time people don't think about Kiss for their music.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
because it's just like it's like a similar thing to the Beatles. They're just like in the air, and you fucking don't. You know, no one's really like indie bands reference the Beatles, but I don't feel like like hardcore bands can't really like reference the Beatles, can they? I mean, I would like.
They
to hear
can.
that.
I
guess
feel
they-
like.
yeah.
I mean, Ramones is
Well, right.
Beatles worship,
Right, but
you
they're
know.
not, right? They weren't hardcore.
They weren't hardcore, but every hardcore band from the '80s was influenced by Ramones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's and Black Sabbath, Ozzy
Yeah.
and
Black
their
Sabbath,
favorite
yeah.
band was the Beatles.
Yeah.
Joey Ramone saw the Beatles at Shea Stadium apparently, but he couldn't get in. So he's watching and like throwing rocks from like outside the stadium at them or something like
Yeah.
that. There's like a story like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that sounds like he's like, what's the most punk rock thing I could do?
Yeah.
I'll throw rocks at the
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
Beatles.
yeah. I almost started doing a British guy, and then I realized he was from
He's
New York.
not. That's a fake British,
Yeah.
fake ass British accent.
Yeah, yeah. So you ever see that video of Marky Ramone talking about like, it's like a pretty late Marky Ramone video, but he's just like, yeah, you know, everyone wants to fucking talk about how, you know, the Ramones weren't talented, you know, whatever. So I'd like to see you guys do this for an hour straight. And he gets on the fucking drum.
Downstrokes.
It was
got
so
those
funny.
voices.
Yeah.
Well, Marky Ramone played. There's a Nardwuar interview. I just saw this the other
yeah, I've
day.
seen
It's Marky Ramone and Jerry Only, and one other fucking. I think one of the dudes from Black Flag was playing in Misfits around that time.
Des Cadena.
Yeah. And it's the three of them talking to Nardwuar. And that
Yeah.
shit was crazy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know Marky played in Misfits because it was just like a weird because it's like it was like a Misfits interview, but it's like, dude, like this is
You're talking, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Some
that was like
legends.
like the Jerry Only Misfits that I actually saw when I was 17 at the Crazy Donkey, which
Oh,
was
really?
like one of the coolest things I ever done in my life at
That's
that
sick.
point.
yeah.
But if you think about it, this kind of dawned on me. Nardwuar is like our Kiss, if you think about it. He's a fucking
He dresses up.
penis interviewer.
I love
Yeah.
Nardwuar.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
do. I have so much
I
respect
have this
for him.
record in my ass.
Yeah. Did you watch his Turnstile interview?
This is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first record I ever listened to.
Yeah.
It always amazes me though, and just their reaction is like,
I hear you're from Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. Even like I watched the Turnstile interview with him, and it was fucking amazing. It
was
was pulling
crazy.
out shit from the woodwork. They're like, what the fuck?
So, but you know,
and they all know Nardwuar. They're
my
like,
my
"Goddamn."
problem with Nardwuar now is that like I feel like, especially with a band like Turnstile, I feel like most of what they've done is sort of like like public knowledge. Like if you've been following them for like that long, like everything that they've done is on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like I feel like when he's pulling out like real obscurity points of like in 8th grade you had a teacher named Mr. Johnson.
He was arrested for things
yeah,
we
he
can't
was
talk
arrested.
about.
He's actually a child predator. Here's his thumbprint. He's like, "Yo, how'd you find this?"
Yo, that's crazy, bro.
I hear you have a penis music podcast.
Oh, he's coming for you.
Here's my penis.
Here's my penis. What would Nardwar's penis look like?
Probably have a little hat on it.
Like
Yeah,
a pom-pom at
it's
the tip.
smiling.
Yeah. It also just gives you a fucking obscure record from when you were 16.
Gives you a poster sign.
He's
by,
got a
like,
little
Prince.
tattoo of like a stick figure arm with a microphone.
Yeah.
All right, we should all do a Beatles 3-part harmony right now. And 1,
fuck.
2, 3, go.
I wasn't ready for this.
All right, well, I wanna segue real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is something that we've been talking about doing for a while, and something that Frank reminded me of the other night.
You're going to cover every Somerset Thrower song
Yes,
with Standstill?
yes. But
Next Halloween.
nah. Something that's came up a few times, but we haven't really delved into, because every week for an hour we talk about what is penis music.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about what isn't yet.
I was totally going to bring this up too. I was going to say, can you get, because I was listening to some of the other episodes and like I'm trying to figure out what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got my wheels turning, and I was like, I don't even know.
And I need to ask you, is Somerset Thrower penis music?
No,
No.
no, I don't think so.
Shut up.
It's influenced by
It's
penisy stuff. Because like
Okay.
when I listen to Somerset, I think of Jawbreaker,
a lot of people
Yeah.
do, and I love Jawbreaker. I really
but
do.
I know it's not like a direct.
Yeah, it's not
thing.
a direct thing for us at all.
I hear like, and I think I've brought this up to you
But they're
before.
ingrained in me.
I hear like a lot of, and I don't think it's intentional because you've said this to me before, but like Swerve Driver and stuff like that.
That's what we were listening to when we first started, and we sounded
Yeah.
nothing like that. Maybe we sound a little bit more like them tone wise now, but
Yeah.
when we first started, people would say that to us. They used to say like we sounded like Nirvana playing like Promise Ring music. Or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. And I love both. I love Nirvana. I love Promise Ring, but like never really. I don't know. We loved Garden Variety, and
just
we
say
loved
Garden
Swerve
Variety.
Driver when we first started. We liked this band Mock Orange when we started. And like obviously like Guided by Voices and the Beatles, and like people would say we sound like Donald Jr., but I guess it's just because we
You do a
wanted
lot of
to do
bendy.
bendies. John's
know.
very bendy guy. He taught me how to bend, like,
Yeah.
and do like rock and roll tricks and shit.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
So
it's weird.
I
don't
definitely,
know.
you guys, and do you know what it is with penis music is that there's, in order for it to not be, there's got to be sort of a cool factor where it's
Yeah.
like Somerset Throw is awesome because you guys are just like regular dudes playing like rock music where it's like, there's nothing about that that's like uncomfortable. It's like you guys are just rocking. It's fucking sick. I think also there is penis rap,
Yo,
but
that's a whole nother episode.
I feel like gangster rap is pretty much exempt from, because I feel like if you walked up to like,
But that's I don't
Ice
know.
Cube.
You gotta like be wary of how you define gangster, because like Danny Brown is penis rap.
yeah, but I'm talking
But,
about talking
like-
about like classic like NWA.
Yeah,
like,
Danny
stuff.
Diablo's
Yeah,
raps.
if you walked up to Ice Cube and we're just like, "Yay, you're penis music.
Yeah.
Give me something to dance to. It's penis music." He'd
Yeah.
punch me in the fucking face.
Easy E has some penisy moments.
Yeah.
And so does ODB. Like
But that's
penis
something-
mu-
there is penis rap for sure. Like I mean, Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Yeah.
Right.
Penis rap.
Yeah. Far Side.
Digital Underground. Fucking the Humpty.
Is
That's
it because
that's
they're
like
like trying to like over or like I don't know. I think I've heard you guys explain it like what makes the penis. It's like you're trying to like actively trying to like be different, and you're trying to like
It's-
break some new ground, whether it works or not.
that's a certain sect of it.
Sect of it, right?
You know.
It's mostly just like an overabundance of uniqueness.
yeah.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
And also like a tongue-in-cheek kind of like comedic value. You're not trying to be, I mean, you can, like there are, like we've cited like Tenacious D and Fight of the Conchords and shit like that.
Yeah. I love that stuff.
But like,
Frank Zappa's another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
but there has to be like a little bit of like, comedy in it, whether it's intentional or not.
Right. Okay. So Chili Peppers, that's totally.
100%,
I feel like they're very
yeah.
high up there.
Yeah. Chili Peppers penis music. John Frusciante's solo stuff is penis music. Flea's solo stuff is penis music. But
What's Flea's solo stuff sound like? Is it just like
it's
bass?
like he like
It's just bass.
slapping. Just him dropping cans.
It's like a fart
in the
every
kitchen.
now and then.
is the song is it Yertle the Turtle or whatever, like, and it's just like it's like kind of cute, like whatever. Flea's a penis for sure.
I mean,
but
he's
but I feel like
Walking
for it not to be penis music, there has to be like a certain type of like I don't want to say swagger, but
Right.
No, but the thing is though, as we had a whole episode about Ramones, and like Ramones are the reason why like that like greaser look and like
came
punk
back,
rock are like intertwined.
Yeah.
Definitely
So
a fine line of weird.
it's
weirdos
hard.
doing
And
that,
then like
but-
we've also talked about dudes like Miles Davis, and it's so I feel like the cool factor isn't a good litmus test for penis music.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe what you mean by that is like when a band has that like what's the word? Like, oh, they're running.
I almost feel like it's like almost like immediately understood what it is, or like very like like where it's like you don't really have to explain it. It's just like this is sick.
It's like a relatableness that you envy, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah, where like Jay Mascis could have that, but he wears like Mishka hats and
Cookie Monster
and,
hat.
and Bapes
Yeah.
and like Jordans and
He shops at Zoomies.
yeah,
It's wild.
and looks like fucking Edgar Winter or something.
Yeah.
Edgar Winter.
Yeah.
I love that cover.
Yeah,
It's wild, man.
Is that's his
That-
name? Edgar
I
Winter.
think so. When
Edgar
he's
Winter.
got the big like wart.
Yeah, it's the Frankenstein guy.
Yeah.
Is that's
Well,
that's a penis.
Edgar. Well, there's Johnny Winter and there's Edgar Winter.
Yeah. It was Edgar Winter Group.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yes.
it is. That's
Yes.
Frankenstein. But I feel like because Beatles, I feel like have kind of like mass appeal, but also they're on a spectrum of penis where it's like, the hits are obviously like they're widely accepted and you don't really think about it because it's just like nice music. But when they start branching off with things like I said, Revolution 9 and
Right.
like shit like that, like that's when they become penisy because they're just
They're
like,
going
oh, if we tried this,
full into artistic mode. Just don't
Yeah.
care, even if it's kind of bad.
And then once
Yeah.
you put Yoko in the picture, and then it's just
Well,
like, oh,
no one understood that. Do you know the video of like John Lennon and Chuck Berry playing on some talk show in the 70s, and like they bring Yoko on stage and they're playing like an old, like they're playing one of Berry's songs, and she's just like screaming in the background, and his face is just like fucking like they cut to him and he just doesn't
No, I
understand.
never seen that. I kind of just started picturing that one viral clip of like Yoko from like 5-6 years ago, just like with that band, just like screaming,
Yeah.
and, like in the middle of an art gallery.
Yeah,
and everyone's
exactly.
Just like,
Yeah.
all right.
My dad was like, "This is what Lennon picks." Like he's fucking so like, it's like, shut up, Dad. You couldn't even do that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Yoko's like art is also very like penis. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the one of her, like she just sits on the stage and like gives people scissors and they just come up and like clip her clothes
Cut
off
clothes
and
off,
stuff.
yeah.
And then there's like the one like horny ass dude that gets on the stage and he's just like,
He's like, I can do whatever I want. For
You know?
interpretation.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. A lot of weird shit like that. There's a video, movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just like a fly. I think it might. I don't even know, but it's just like a fly crawling over like a woman's body.
Yeah.
And it's for like an hour. It's just like, all right, cool, great.
So even to like I feel like bands like The Who, which started not penisy, and even like when they were like heavy, like fucking like Who's Next and shit like that, not penisy. Tommy, super penis music.
Yeah, because they're diving into like the weird,
The concepts
creative
and
concept, yeah.
weird shit and whatnot.
Yeah.
And especially, like, I feel like it's a lot of when like the psych rock and prog rock sort of comes into play and a lot of that stuff. That's when it gets penisy.
Right.
But I feel like there's just sort of like I don't know. There's just sort of like, I don't want to say when it's not boundary pushing, but it's when someone presents themselves as like, yep, this is it, and this is what I'm doing, like, I feel like that's almost like grounds for not being penis music, in just the way of like, oh, it's just a rock band, they're just regular guys wearing clothes, and or like, oh, that guy's just rapping about his like experience and shit that he's done, and it's cool, and there's no reason to be like, oh, you're penis, that,
I think a lot of just surface level countercultural music. Like if you think about bands, I I mean, in general, like I'm just thinking of like a normie kid that's like shopping at fucking PacSun, you know, what his playlist looks like, and he's like, bro, have you heard of this? Yo, you heard of this band called Title Fight, bro? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
some shit like that, you know?
Title Fight tried being penis music towards the end there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's making more sense to me now, the penis thing, because I just, you know, I know what you mean, and I'm just trying to figure out like the ins and outs of it.
It's just experimentation, no matter how
Yes.
successful
Okay.
it may be in execution. You know,
So Title Fight became penis music
With,
later
like,
on with the
hyper-view.
hyper-view, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so let me ask you this: I feel like because they're from Philly, right?
Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like because Lifetime, I feel like Lifetime is such a important band for like so much of what hardcore is today.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lifetime influence, like What Saves the Day, Title Fight.
Yeah.
You can see that direct influence from them, and I feel like what is the last record that Lifetime put out was like in 2007, and I really dig that record.
Yeah,
It
it's
sounds
really
great.
great record.
It's
It's
really
back
good.
to like basics, like for them, and it's great. The
Yeah.
songs are great.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to a lot of Lifetime actually this past week, and just going back to it because I love that shit. And it's weird how much they've influenced even like to this day.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you know, it's
Well, funny.
they never got penisy though to me. That's what I was
Yeah.
getting at. You know, I don't think did they?
There are moments for me where,
Yeah.
especially on that record, actually, like
Yeah.
Monday Morning Airport, I feel like kind of dances on that fucking grave. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
I think
Like,
when you use your mouth a lot to sing,
yeah,
yeah, you know that definitely. Damn, we all
Sure.
did that at the exact same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Because
Like,
he's got a thing. You're right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if you have a real fucking thing,
Yeah.
I guess any fucking singer has a thing. Though.
So yeah, I also feel like you say Lifetime, and I guess that sort of brought up like Crime and Stereo in my brain, and sort of
Right,
the
another
trajectory
band
of,
influenced by them heavily.
And I won't even say that like Is Dead or like anything like that is penis music, but it was definitely in the penis mindset of like trying to do something sort of outside your comfort zone or
Sure.
outside your fan base's comfort zone. That's like one side of it.
Right.
May,
We need
maybe
penis then. You know what I mean? We need penis to. You got to expand and try
Yeah.
to
expand
change your
penis.
craft. You don't want to do the same shit over and over. Sometimes that works, and sometimes that's great.
Yeah.
But you should try to, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Penis is for everybody. You just have to embrace it. You have to unlock
Exactly.
Yeah.
Embrace the
I
penis.
mean, we've
Don't
even-
be scared.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Don't be
dude.
scared.
Don't be
Take
scared
the
of
ride
penis.
on the penis train.
Yeah.
if you need. It's gonna take you
on the,
somewhere.
on the
it's gonna
disco
take you somewhere
on
weird.
the disco stick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, we've even talked like because there are like examples in like super pop culture. Like you know we've talked about like Nicki Minaj and like Beyonce. Like I feel like sometimes even that stuff kind of gets there.
Lady Gaga, she's penis music. for
Yeah.
sure.
And like the band that people cite the most often is Primus, and like there was a time when that band was like you know on top of the fucking planet. They're Reineker's
yeah.
favorite band.
They wrote the fucking really. They wrote the South Park theme song, bro.
Yep, yep.
I saw them with Slayer and fucking. You went to that? I went to and did you? Did you go? No, I didn't go. It's when Phil did like he was with the Illegals and they did like a lot of vulgar display songs. It was
Yeah, yeah.
fucking awesome,
Yeah, it
dude.
is
And
awesome.
Ministry played too, and they were fucking mind blowing. Yeah.
Very interesting. Wow.
Primus didn't Primus that it came to Paramount. Primus did a tour playing Rush songs.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah.
They played like
That's-
snippets of their actual good songs.
Right.
Like nothing.
Too many puppies and
That's-
Rush cut.
That
You know,
era,
they're actual
like,
good Rush songs are good.
Yeah, they somehow made Rush even penisier. Like the Spirit of the Radio cut. Have you seen that? I think it was like the Rush like celebration or whatever. However many years, Les Claypool gets up to the Spirit of the Radio, and like you could see like how visibly uncomfortable Getty and fucking Alex and Neil
Yeah.
are just like watching it because it's
They're just
so bad. Because he's got cellos in there. And he's like, beginning the day with the friendly. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like not to like I don't know. I feel like there must have been a little bit of relief when fucking Getty and Alex were like, all right, we don't have to fucking play this shit anymore.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
unfortunately, but at the same time, like I feel like they weren't anxious to get back on stage and play fucking Tom Sawyer, you know?
Yeah. How many
Soy.
times? Yeah. How many times they've done that?
yeah.
It's funny. Well, Rush, I feel like had definitely a roller coaster of penisness. because start out as like sort of a rock and roll band, self-titled, and then Fly By Night kind of comes into. No, it was the self-titled, then Caressive Steel, whatever it is, Caressive Steel, and then
Fly By Night.
Fly By Night.
Well, I feel like Rush were like a normal rock band until Neil Peart joined, because then that's when people started like knowing them for that like virtuose kind of aspect that like people know Rush for now, but before that they were just a rock band.
Yeah, they were just like Led Zeppelin 2 really, like for most people.
Right.
But they got really penisy, and then kind of moving towards the 80s. I feel like 80s Rush, like Grace Under Pressure on, is not that penisy. It's like weird, like rocky training music. Honestly, also amazing. I don't know. Are you a big Rush head at all?
I'm not a huge Rush head, but I dabble.
Yeah, yeah. Hold Your Fire is like one of my favorite Rush records. It's fucking. If you guys ever have the chance to, listen. It's not like super odd timey or proggy. Really.
No, I don't think I've heard that one. Okay. There's so much Rush too.
That's got.
Is
time
it heavy?
Still.
Is it like heavy?
No, that's got like Time Stand Still on it and shit. Like it's like aquatic. It's like aquarium music, but it's amazing.
What's the one with the dude in the sand, the naked dude?
Fucking Hemispheres.
Hemispheres.
Yeah, Hemispheres is incredible.
2112 is my favorite.
Yeah. But I said Led Zeppelin 2 before, and it kind of reminded me of something that happened, which maybe this could be an ending, closing out segment of the podcast. But
we don't have to end. We never have to end.
Yeah, it's true.
We're only an hour and a minute in, and that's like not including the shit in the beginning. So
wow.
We're not even at an hour.
We're leaving all the shit in the beginning.
So all right, hopefully this carries us like another 15 minutes or so. But I got tricked into liking Greta Van Fleet yesterday.
No. That's all I do is send fucking the band, like Tim, John, and Connor, like just clips of like on Instagram because it pops up.
I hate it.
It's
but
so fucking silly, man.
I was listening, my girlfriend's one of her assistants was like cleaning up the shop and just had music playing, and I heard them like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And I love like weird, like throaty voice, like
every fucking reel on Instagram. Like I don't even choose, it just pops up, and he's just,
they're like
the craziest fucking shit. And I'm like, who is this dude?
They're like the voice to all of like the TikTok girls with like the boots that go and like rub the rocks and are like, we live in a van.
I know. I
like
hate it. They're not.
But that's Greta Van Fleet's like that shit. You know, like
dude,
that's
so big. I don't understand how it got big, but I'm like, oh, I'm fucking 33.
Well,
I'm so out of touch.
They got big because they sound exactly like Led Zeppelin.
Well, that's it.
For people who don't want to listen to
Led Zeppelin.
They
do all the those are like whatever.
But that also like that's the embodiment of like what I was, which was like a Guitar Center kid that just like can't believe classic rock, and then just start because they're from like Ohio or something, and they just. But I was listening to
Guided by Voices, man, and those dudes don't even shred; they just write good fucking songs.
And you know what's crazy too? I forgot to bring this up before, but there is like weird prog crossover for Guided by Voices as well. Like they love
they
King
love
Crimson and shit. Like,
I think he says it's like the 4 P's or something, like punk, prog, pop, and fucking
penis,
polka. Penis. That's it.
The only ounce of credit I'll give to Greta Van Fleet, and this goes back to like the Tame Impala conversation we were having earlier. When that band started, they were just looked at as a bad Beatles ripoff, and they kind of were. And like they did the same thing. They were like, "Oh, we're not even that influenced by the Beatles." You know?
Beatles.
Well, they're like not. They're Australian, so they'd be like, "Oh, Spider, oh, Spider." But like, so they did the same thing. Even though they were very clearly like ripping the Beatles, like Kevin Parker was trying to sound like John Lennon, but I don't even really listen. Do that whole thing.
Fuck you, man. Fuck him.
So, but I love Tame Impala, and now people look at Tame Impala as their own thing.
Right. I think they're great. Tame Impala. I thought you were still talking about Greta.
But that's what I'm saying is that like I feel like Greta Van Fleet does take it that kind of step extra where they're dressing like them and doing the whole thing. It's like very clearly
the thing that
comes off real bad.
I hated it when I first listened, and the thing that really sealed it for me was like there's a Robert Plant interview, like people asking him like, what do you think of this band Greta Van Fleet? He goes, yeah, like I thought like that wasn't on Led Zeppelin 1. Like, where the fuck is that? And then apparently they claim
is this
that,
us?
Yeah, they claim that they don't even like Aerosmith. They wanted to sound like Aerosmith.
Well,
fuck you fuck off,
They
die.
fucked up then. They
Yeah.
didn't. They heard it wrong.
No, no, exactly. And then like I just heard like a rock song. And I
They,
hear
they
this kid,
just
like,
turned on a rock playlist and a Zeppelin song came on and someone was like, "Oh, this is Aerosmith."
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Somebody had
Cool.
like they burnt them a CD and they wrote the wrong fucking.
Yeah.
yeah. yeah. But no, like
Aerosmiths, they rock too, though. I mean,
like I said, I like the hits from Aerosmith. I've never like dove.
no.
in.
I'm pretty surface level as well, but like Crazy, Jaded, like
Yeah,
even like the
yeah,
later shit.
good
There's some
songs.
shit.
Well, funny enough, my girlfriend's uncle plays in like an Aerosmith tribute band. That's really sick, and like they go through like all the eras like of like even like the '70s and fucking,
Nice.
and it's like I'm like, oh, I forgot that song. That's a good ass song. That's a good ass
Yeah,
song. That's a
they
good
got
ass
songs.
fucking song. But no, like Greta Van Fleet, like I felt so like bamboozled because and the assistant's like 19, so I don't know, she's just whatever. She's just, oh, there's this new band that sounds like cool rock music, you know.
So just listen to the original Cool Rock.
Yeah, well,
music.
do you know what
don't need
they look like the fucking kids in my high school that loved like the Strokes and like LCD Sound System,
Yes.
and read like Rolling Stone and like
Exactly.
Entertainment Weekly, like they're the coolest fucking
Yeah.
thing on earth. It's like
I know.
I see those kids and I'm like, you look like that.
You're
You look
just
like
those kids now.
you
It's
look.
basically
You're
that.
you're kids that think Saturday Night Live is like still funny.
Yeah,
you know,
you guys
like,
watch Trevor Noah and like
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
It's-
yeah. Donald Trump is stupid.
Yeah, I mean he's
That's-
the funniest man of all time, but should he be president?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, that was my Trevor Noah impression. You ever think Donald Trump is dumb? Well, I guess we're really diving into being British.
This is a British episode. This is
I
a
know,
British
we're on,
pod.
I know we're on a tangent right now. I just wanted to say I think it would be kind of funny to. I don't know if you've done this already, but like, what are like? There's got to be penis movies, right?
We've done this.
You've done it,
we
okay?
have.
Well, I mean,
Because
it depends. Yeah,
Clockwork Orange.
I think we.
I
did,
was just gonna say I love Clockwork
We
Orange,
did this
but it's
on
definitely
fucking-
it's definitely a penis movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did this on
I think
the
everything.
more ways
I
than
think
one.
everything Kubrick can just get thrown in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of just.
A24, certain type of any A24.
Sometimes.
movie
It's
is
just
a penis.
so
penis
it's just like
movie.
sucking its own.
Yeah,
penis.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like the fucking. I think
they're
I
all
brought
good.
this
It's
up
good
in
shit.
the Rainey episode, the Swiss Army Man. That's a pretty
Swiss
penisy
Army Man.
movie.
Titanic.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, there is an entire genre of movie that is just comedy. So I don't know how much we could talk about that shit because I just feel like anything Adam Sandler is immediately penis.
Yeah.
But like,
But at the time when it came out, was it penis? I guess. Like I just try to think of things in like the context of when they came out and like what was done like before, and was it breaking any new ground? Not really. It was just kind of like of the time comedy.
yeah,
Because when I was going to school, when I was in like elementary school, like I made friends by like quoting Adam Sandler movies. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And it was just like that. It was something that everyone could kind of relate to, or even if they didn't know Adam Sandler, they thought it was funny. I guess.
There is like a certain like it's on the tip of my tongue of like penis movies that I feel like we didn't talk about. So I might be silent for the next 45 seconds trying to figure it out. So
okay.
so yeah.
All right, Harmony,
I'll
quick.
be meditating.
Tim
Hold on.
Burton. We talked about Tim Burton.
Oh,
Tim Burton. Yeah.
This was the Rainey episode. We talked about Tim Burton.
All right, so we don't have to rehash. I just
Yeah.
figured it might be
No, we
funny to think about that.
I don't know.
Do you have any other questions, dude? Because we're getting pretty well versed.
We didn't
in
really
this.
get into but we didn't really finish the not penis music conversation.
We didn't.
We didn't really come to a consensus
I think
because if
Tim
we
Burton-
have guidelines for what is, then we need to have guidelines for what isn't.
Well, you
Yeah,
said
you
kind
know.
of like you do it. I mean, you're not trying, or
That's the thing is that like you don't have to try to make penis music. You can just like do it
Right.
by trying to be to yourself. You know,
Sure.
Like an example of that would be like, I mean, I guess like we were talking about Tame Impala or like Zappa or like just like bands that like people like you can put it on at H&M and people don't really think twice about it, but if you look closely,
Yeah.
like you could pick apart the things that are like, okay, this is fucking weird. That's funny that you did that. Like, you
Like,
know.
do you know what's a good example of that? Like Fine Young Cannibals, the She Drives Me Crazy song. That's a really penisy song that you'll hear in Marshalls.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. I mean, Aha, pretty penisy band. Which they actually weirdly started as like a psych rock, like surf rock band, and like this, like
Aha?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
With Take on Me was like a garage like rock song, and then they eventually like this isn't working. They eventually got in the studio and made it like a pop song, and that's obviously became like one of the biggest songs ever. But very penisy. You know,
Was the original like the Cap and Jazz version of it?
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
that's what it actually
Honestly,
sounded like. So
like pretty close, actually. You know, but with like synthesizers and
that's interesting.
Yeah, like I only want to be with you, like shit like that. Anything like that early 2000s vocal style on any in any song. I feel like maybe we can throw into the category of accidental penis.
So Eddie Vedder.
Eddie-
I love Pearl Jam, but like Eddie Vedder's.
Yeah,
Probably
that's
Yeah.
unintentional.
Unintentional penis. That's a penis foul.
All right, so there's gotta be.
That's a penis. Throw a penis flag.
Yeah,
Fucking sound the whistle.
it's penis music. You sound like you fucking peanut butter in your mouth.
That's a telltale sign.
Even like
Yeah.
Lifetime, like we were talking about Lifetime, like okay, so shit like that, just like accidental vocal inflections. You know, I think that's kind of the same reason why we look at Ramones the way we do is because like that dude, it's just like the fake British accent, like shit like that. You know,
Just so like unapologetically itself.
yeah. So I think for music to not be penis, there needs to be a certain level of production value, and there has to be like maybe like another hand in the room, like kind of guiding. So like you know, maybe like industry plant shit, or just like when people have like a million people in the room telling you kind of what to do, and it's like you're not really actually putting any of yourself into it, but there's a lot of money being thrown at it. Like shit like that isn't penis because it doesn't have room to breathe.
Sure.
You know, you got to give the cock room to
You
breathe.
have to kind of dwell in your own penis shit.
Yeah.
And like really want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So well, I was gonna say. So is there producers that are penis diffusers? Like I feel like Bob Rock is a penis diffuser.
Okay, well, there's I think I've talked about this guy. I just said Fink. I think this is the British pod.
British episode.
But there's a dude who is on Warp Records. I think I've talked about him before.
Yes, you have. I remember this conversation.
But now I can't remember his name because he has a really fucking weird British name. But he, hold on one second. Warp Records. I'm gonna produce myself real
You
quick.
have the laptop, dude.
I do have the laptop. Artists.
Because I remember we did talk about this because I was thinking
Hudson Mohawk.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Hudson.
That's
So
the most British name.
it is. Yeah, it's very British. But he like makes like really crazy, weird, penisy IDM kind of shit in his like solo career. But he has produced for Drake and like Kanye West. And like he's done like a lot of like there's a whole YouTube video
You
of
just
like
named the two biggest penises that I've ever heard of.
okay
Drake and
yeah
Kanye
all right
West,
maybe
right?
never mind. No, but he does like what I'm saying is he does like shit for like normie artists,
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the world is trying to come around to all being pretty penisy if you think about it.
well, penis is cool. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Penis is cool.
Like
That-
being like
Penis is back?
but
Penis
it's like
is back.
by way of being an
In a big
artist type.
I
you
think
know?
for a long time it wasn't. Like I think throughout all of like the 2010s, like all of the shit you would hear on the radio was all very similar in the way that it was just kind of like there would be like the pitch shifted like vocal like and then, like,
yeah,
the catchy like
Every song is like, oh,
yeah.
I'm
Right,
like,
right.
What the fuck? How
So
many
that-
times can you do this?
Yeah.
But now I feel like weirdly enough, like we're in a time where like almost like hyper pop is like the zeitgeist, you know, even to the point where it's ending up on like Beyonce records, like, or even like Billie Eilish is like one of the biggest artists in the world right now, you
Huge
know,
penis.
And
huge penis.
I feel like she's like penis aesthetic though, because I feel like her music is just pretty fucking normal.
No, I mean like
That's-
her brother makes some pretty weird sounding.
What's her
shit.
brother? Billie Eilish too. What's
No,
what's
her
his
brother Phineas
Mohawk Jr.
Yeah, he's
Billy
Billy,
with
with
a
a
Y.
Y.
Yeah, that was sick. That was sick.
That was awesome.
It's me, Billie Eilish. This is my brother, Billie Eilish.
No, but his name is Phineas, and he like makes.
Don't fuck with me, man.
That's his name.
Don't
His name
fuck
is.
with
I don't know if that's his real name, but his name is Phineas. But he does all of her beats and shit.
Okay.
You know, and
I gotta
like,
get someone to make me beats. I really do.
Yeah,
I've been
dude.
saying
I'll do it.
for a long time. You do it.
yeah, I
You
got
do
it. I'll do it.
I used to make beats in like high school and college with my friends, but I don't really. I don't know.
What do they sound like?
Like something like that. Maybe.
Lo-fi college lo-fi beats to.
No, yeah, we were listening to like. A
That's
lot
what
of
people
Lil B.
say, like-
Little B. I don't know if you guys fuck with him, but when
Yeah.
you fuck with it. So like, when I was coming up, people
I
hated on
own
Lil B
swag.
so bad.
I own swag.
He started a lot
Twerk
of
it
the
like
fucking,
that.
He started like the
Okay.
vibe of like what
I don't think
hip-hop
we've talked
became-
about Lil B enough on this podcast
No.
because
I'm
glad
not too
that
familiar.
Lil
Honestly.
B is the most influential artist in hip hop of our generation.
of this generation. 100%. I agree with that. Kanye is definitely there in a sense, but Little B trajectory of and the shit that he was saying and calling himself like a little bitch and
Kendrick
being, like,
Lamar's
sensitive and
Kendrick
emo.
Lamar's double X
Yeah.
fucking thing.
Yeah,
Guess
yeah.
who was on that shit?
Right.
Little B.
Absolutely, dude.
And he shouts. Kendrick Lamar shouts out Little B.
Yeah, bro.
Well, I was-
He's ahead of
was-
his-
Swag,
ahead of
swag.
the game. He's funny as fuck.
I was
too,
talking about this
Swag Jerry
too.
Rice and all that shit.
Yeah.
That was so sick.
I was just talking about this with Brittany. Young Lean, that fucking dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Also,
him too.
Was he before
He's
Lil B?
no, Lil
No,
B was
he's-
way before Young Lean, but Young Lean does, I feel like, get cited a little bit more often now for his
Yeah.
influence. But at the time, I don't think people realized like
Yeah.
how much of a hand he had in that shit because Lil B came out around like the shoegaze,
All penis
kind
rap,
of
by the
shit.
way.
Yeah, but like, do you remember like the or not shoegaze,
The
vaporwave,
Yeah,
vaporwave?
I literally just used that word this
Yeah.
morning. The first time in years.
You're just
I
pissing
use their
like,
vapor rub.
vaporwave.
vaporwave.
It's just coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But that shit was like everywhere at one point
Yeah.
on the internet. Like
Yeah, you ever use
everything had
Microsoft
like
Paint?
the checkerboard pink background with the dolphin and
The
yes.
fucking the palm tree, the pink, yeah.
or
yeah.
the
It's kind of like pixelated too.
yeah, the crescent
I
moon
like that
McDonald's guy.
kind of, aesthetic though. I do.
Well, that's the thing is I like that like hits a spot in my brain. Like any beat that sounds like
Yes.
that just makes me feel like just a weird,
Yeah.
fucking dystopian fucking nostalgia. That
Well, that's what it's supposed like. There's
Dystopian nostalgia.
if you
Yeah.
watch like those
Fucking
like
ill band name.
like there's a weird, almost like anti-consumerist capitalist kind of message
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
that vaporwave shit that people try to talk about sometimes, but it kind of doesn't land.
Yeah, well, that's like even like music videos where people are making like the fucking 3D like the just the shitty video game graphics.
Yes,
like
right.
like Nothing had that video with that song ACD.
Yeah.
Mogwai.
Yeah,
like
Mogwai.
the last record they put out, they had a song with just like shitty like early like PS2 graphics like visuals
Yeah,
and stuff.
right.
With like for some reason with like post rock ambient, like I guess I won't say vaporwave also, but same sort of vibe. Like that just does something in my brain.
like
I'm
The
yeah.
Sims. Too,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Do you
yeah.
watch? I meant to ask you this because I feel like you would really like it. Did you ever watch Xavier Renegade Angel on Adult Swim? It's
Is
one
that
of
the one
shows
with
that
the
I-
with the horse, like the half horse
yeah,
guy?
Yeah, dude.
Let-
John, you will
With the
fucking-
weird nose,
No,
and he's got a snake for a hand.
You would love this
not,
show.
The
It's
name I have not thought about.
absurd.
In fucking
We've talked
forever.
about Adult Swim being a penis program.
Yeah, definitely. I rep this show to like ever, like
Was it Xavier?
Xavier Renegade Angel. It's 2 seasons and it's really fucking ridiculous. It's really fucked up, very philosophical. It's the dudes who did Wonder Chosen. It's the shit they did after Wonder
holy
Chosen.
Fuck.
Yo, it's the coolest show ever. I have it on
totally
DVD
forgot
if you
about
want
this.
if you want to borrow it.
Yeah.
Dude, holy shit.
It's so trippy, dude. It's the funniest shit. It's nonstop insanity the whole time.
wow.
It's so funny.
That's like the kind of shit you like wake up at like 3 a.m. and that's on, and you're
Yes,
wondering
dude,
if you're
exactly.
like
That's how I
tripping.
discovered it. Yeah.
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 Well, even like that game PUBG, that's kind of got the same like just shitty like AI 3D like someone learning how to program like in their house sort of graphics.
Right.
That's it. Just does something in my brain. Like I don't know. It's
Good
awesome.
or bad. It was,
It's just like, fuck yeah, dude.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Thought I was gonna say something like really serious. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But
So yeah, Lil B,
Lil
Young
B rules.
Lean, the Beatles,
Yeah. Little B.
all the same.
well, I'm gonna go on record. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I had a rap group in high school, and this dates back to like 2009 or 10. I'm convinced we invented SoundCloud rap.
Who?
Chode City.
Who is that?
Chode
That's
City.
my rap group.
Okay, cool.
Chodes. Me and Taekwon.
Yeah, you did
What
that.
year would that have been? In
We
high
were
school, you
using
said?
we were using 808s and making insane, stupid noises, just like stupid one-liners, and just like and like just like weird
Using that in the beat.
in the beat
whatever,
with
yeah.
auto tune and everything
Yeah,
else. And then like a year later, that's when the SoundCloud rap
Yeah.
hit the scene, dude. I'll defend that to the day I fucking die. Dude.
It was in the air, man, because we were putting like beats up on SoundCloud and putting we would record at my friend Eric's apartment when we were in high school. He lived in like Copeg, and we would just like record shit in there, and we would put it up to like SoundCloud, and we had friends who were doing it, who were like actually like rappers from Lindenhurst and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it was in the air. What year did you graduate?
Well, I just know I did it before you, dude.
Well, I wasn't rapping, honestly. I was just kind of like making a beat.
Oh, we
and a
were
melody.
rapping about cocks and shit.
Well, that's
and
cool.
whatever. But I graduated 2011. so,
11.
Yeah.
I graduated in 2007.
Darn. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm an elderly gentleman.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. This podcast it doesn't discriminate, you know.
Thank you. Doesn't discriminate against Italians. Doesn't
Yeah,
discriminate
really nice
against
to Italians.
30-somethings. And
Yeah, you know.
Just know you should probably die soon.
I plan on it.
I'm getting fucking
And
pissed off.
I'm going to
dude.
die in a big way.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool. Yeah, that's a pod.
that's a pod.
I'm gonna say that's a pod. I feel like there were a lot of stones unturned though, so I feel like you got to come back on
yeah,
pretty
we'll have
soon.
a part 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good, boys.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.